Hey everybody, welcome back. Honorée, I know you're doing great today because we've been here having fun.
Yes. Yes. We're actually also getting some work done, which is a kind of a miracle.
Yes, yeah. But we're talking
A
about
Christmas
marketing, which we
miracle.
we both really like this topic, which has been
Yes.
making it so much fun. And Honorée has been kind enough to offer, like, Lucas, you've got all these crazy questions. We should
Yeah.
talk about these things, and it'd probably really help other people out. And because if I have these questions, I know other people have these questions.
Yeah.
And to me, the whole marketing, the whole topic of marketing, whether it be books, courses, any of it, is just so fascinating because it's such a big world of work. And I know that for me, like coming out of government and contracting and some commercial work into the world of entrepreneurship, all of a sudden I owned all of this. Like I owned the marketing, I owned the sales, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I've never had formal sales training. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't work in a marketing department, but all of a sudden as an entrepreneur, you're doing all of it. And I almost had a hard time like figuring out where some of the lines should be drawn around
Sure.
things. So it took me a little while to figure that out. And it kind of spawned the conversation about like, what do we consider marketing? Like, what do you think about when when you develop your marketing action plan and all the different things that you have to do? And how does that different than your approach to like sales? So I maybe have like a skewed view on this. And if you're a marketing or sales expert out there and you're jumping up and down screaming, you have an opportunity to respond by commenting down below.
Nicely.
Yeah. Yeah. Just be nice.
Nice.
So, put your comments down below. But to me, like marketing, um, and hats off to my friends that are marketers that have taught me this, like a lot of it has to do with the way you develop your brand, you present your brand, you talk about and present your products to the world, you host certain events, the way you present yourself on your website, on social media, all of these things are part of your marketing effort. And sales is more toward the end of that path where now you've got interested people that are converting to buying customers. And that's where the sales process kind of takes over from marketing to a certain degree. But marketing's like what gets them in to that point in the business. Would you
Marketing
agree
is,
with that?
yeah, absolutely. I think marketing is giving what you have
Hmm.
exposure, and sales is helping someone to pay for what's on the other side of that, what you have to purchase.
Right. So
Yeah.
I would say I'm better at marketing than I am at sales. And I actually had to go out and buy like hire a sales coach to help me with understanding how the two are related and then where I was failing with sales. Cause I was really good at like getting on the podcasts and all the posts and talking about how great everything was. But then I wasn't doing it well. And and then when it came to sales, and this was like early in my process with all this stuff, I was definitely less confident in the sales part than I was in the marketing part because I just was comfortable talking. So, whether it be in written format or being on a podcast or whatever, I like sharing and educating. And so that was like a natural fit. But then when it came to like the sales part, I was often in the desert.
Sure. Sure. Well, I think we don't always have a great perception of
Hmm.
sales. It's like if someone is salesy, we're like, right? And you have to
Yeah.
assume the sale and ask for the sale and all of the, all of the icky that can be around it. But really, I'm going to quote Jeffrey Gitomer. He says, people don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. We
Yeah.
know you love shopping. I mean, there's a whole thing around the dopamine rush we get when we buy something, how fun it is to buy something and how we love buying something. And probably you have, if you're watching this, you have something that people want to buy,
Hmm.
and you've got to market yourself. And then at some point you have to have a conversation. And I just do it in a way that's comfortable for me. I come at everything with, I would like a yes, but I'm okay with a no. It's the
Mm.
same energy. And
Right.
so it's like, I'm really like, Lucas, do you want to buy it? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, cool. Lucas, do you want to buy it? No. Okay, cool. Right. I'm obviously happier when you say yes, but I'm not upset when someone says no to me. I'm I'm not afraid to ask because I'm okay with the answer. On the other side, I don't equate, among other things, the yes or the no to whether my product is worth something or whether I'm worth something. So I don't
Mm.
kind of tie those things up. I hope
Yeah.
no one else does either, because if someone buys something that you are offering, that's great, but that isn't a representation of your self-worth or your worth as a person.
Mm.
They're completely separate.
Right.
Who you are and what you do are not not related
Right.
in when it comes to worthiness. Anyway, it's a conversation for another day, but I think it's important to point that out.
Mm.
And so ask someone if they want to buy it. Would you like to buy? I was thinking this morning, I've done a lot of bulk sales of my books, and I was thinking, who would buy bulk copies? In other words, copies in bulk of You Must Market Your Book. Like I have it on my book marketing action plan. I have one to many is one of the boxes. One to many is not, you are an author. Would you like to buy one copy of the book? But it got into when I was putting together my book map, one to many. What is one organization or person that serves a lot of authors that would benefit from buying 10 copies, 50 copies, 100 copies?
Yeah, that
It's
bulk
the
sale.
same amount of conversation. Oh, you work with authors? Would you like to buy? Would you be interested in a conversation about bulk copies? So I don't say that because I think anyone watching serves authors and they would want to buy bulk copies of You Must Market Your Book. I mention that because you have a book coming out, monetize your book with a course, right?
Yep.
And so then you could be talking to people who serve authors, and you could say, would your authors that you serve benefit from having an additional income stream, potentially in the form of a course? And would you be interested in knowing the price breaks that I have put in place for bulk copies? Would purchasing 25 copies or 100 copies or 2,500 copies, depending on who you're talking to? Are you talking to a printer? Are you talking to a publisher? Are you talking to a hybrid publisher? And if you're talking to those folks, they're not working with 1 or 2 or 5 people. They're working with 100, 200, 500, 1,000 people in a year's time. And it would be a nice gift for them to give. You would win with the bulk sale, and they would win with distributing the books. It's like a little gift in the mail.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love a little snail mail? I mean, let's be real. So you could not only provide, I'm just going to keep talking about this and then you'll have a question, but then you could provide the book marketing action plan for your book for them. In other words, if I bought copies for my authors, which obviously I will do, the authors that I work with and the authors that take my courses, I would then want you to help me to get those books in motion. A book at rest is money at rest. A book in motion is money in motion. So if I bought books about your monetize your book with a course, I would say, okay, when is the best time for me to give them a copy of this book? And then I would want to write a note and say, dear Kent, here is a copy of my colleague Lucas Marino's book, Monetize Your Book with a Course. I know you've written a lot of books. I don't see any courses yet. You might want to consider it. Here is your go-to guide. He knows who he is, right?
Can't we be like,
are they picking on me? Right? Yeah. But I would look for, who are the authors that I know? Who are the nonfiction authors that I know? It's one of the first questions I ask them now. Have you considered turning your book into a course? And they usually say, oh, I've done that, or I'm working on that, or yes, it's kind of in the back of my mind and I know I need to do that. It's like, oh, great. I'm going to send you a copy of the book, or here, a copy of the book is already on the way to you. You don't want people to buy the books and have them sitting in a box or on a table or on a desk. You want them in motion. So immediately providing some kind of an action guide to them saying, okay, now that you have the books, here's what you do with them.
Gotcha. Well, okay. So I've got the book coming out. One of my bigger marketing concerns is probably something that would seem really silly to you. I don't know, maybe not, but for someone that's comfortable marketing products, like I'm okay with the social media stuff. And I have a podcast, so I'm comfortable being on a podcast and all that stuff. And I think you probably find this a lot with people that are already out there as consultants or coaches. They're already doing that stuff with their business. But the area that's like brand new to me is like, what do I do with Amazon or like Ingram Spark? Is like a part of my book marketing, like marketing on those platforms, or am I just using those for like, distribution?
Well, their distribution, but
Mhm.
your marketing, the marketing side of that is picking out your categories and your keywords.
Mm.
If you're in KDP Select, which means you're monogamous with Amazon, then you have the right to run free book promotions or Kindle countdown deals where you lower the price of the book for a certain amount of time. And then there's a countdown counter. So there's all kinds of things you can do there. You can run AMS ads. So yes, a part of your marketing would be the platforms. You want to make sure that your sales copy, your back cover copy is written by an expert. This is more from the publishing side, though. This is like before your book
Mhm.
comes out, you decide all of these things. You know, you decide who's going to write your book cover copy and make sure that it's solid. But then you want to be checking in on those things on occasion and saying, are these categories working for me? Are these keywords in the back end of, you know, in KDP, are those working for me? Do I need to run an ad through AMS or Facebook or whatever, right? And where do I get information on the courses that people have around those types of situations? Because they're constantly changing. The platforms are always changing the rules and
Mm.
the pricing on everything. And so there's a lot that you learn, and then you have to keep learning it over and over and over again.
So
So
I
it's a
just
part of your marketing, but it's definitely
mm,
not the one stop. You don't just put it up and it sells a million copies. That does happen, but it's a lightning strike.
right.
It's not something you can count on.
Right. Yeah, I love that point because yeah, yeah, that marketing piece is like baked into the book, right? Like, but you're the baker, so you have to put
That's right.
you have
That's
to
right.
put those ingredients in there. And
That's right.
with, I guess, so if I'm publishing exclusively to like a place like Amazon, does that limit my ability to market in other places? Like, I'm just gonna throw out like store names like Books a Million or Barnes and Noble. Can I market a book in those places?
Well, so you're using the word market, and I'm wondering if it's the right word. Can your book
Mm.
be in those places? Well, there's the yes and the no, right?
Right.
If you're exclusive to Amazon, you can't sell if you, in the it's really ebook.
Right.
So exclusivity around being able to do promotions is if you enroll as an author in KDP Select, that means you're choosing to be exclusive to Amazon with your ebook for at least 90 days, which prohibits you from selling your book on any other platform in ebook form. They don't
Gotcha.
have paperback exclusivity. So you can order author copies and then run down to Books a Million and say, would you like to carry my book? Would you like to buy a few books for me? They usually buy them on consignment for a
Mm.
period of time. Setting that aside, you can also choose to publish through Ingram Spark, which has a different reach in terms of distribution.
Right.
So if you want to have your book in Walmart or Target or those sorts of things, you're going to want to publish at least the physical copies of your book through Ingram Spark because they allow returns, whereas Amazon does not for physical books.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
for indie authors, you bookstores do not order books or box stores do not order books from Amazon because they can't return it. They will want to see if you want to work with let's say you want to work with a local bookstore.
Right.
In Nashville, we have Parnassus. If you want your books to be at Parnassus, then they have to be able to order your book through Ingram Spark. They will not order it through Amazon because they
Gotcha.
want to be able to return it because there is limited shelf space.
Right.
And so if it doesn't move within a certain amount of time, they're going to return it and they want to be able to return the book.
Okay.
So your book marketing strategy is back to this other video that we did on, you know, the book release of you must market your book is
Right.
the four considerations, right? So you have to really think about
Mhm.
what's the job of the book, and based on the job of the book, it will determine exclusivity or non-exclusivity, and also sales channels. Like where is
Right.
your distribution channels? Where is your book going to be available through? And you will put that in your book marketing matrix. You'll put it in the column. This is like how
Mhm.
am I creating my book, and what different formats am I going to create my book, and then where am I going to distribute it, and what does that look like, right?
Right. Yeah, because
Yeah.
one of the reasons I was concerned about that is you hear everyone say, "Oh, you got to do a book signing. You have to do like a book release at local bookstores and all this stuff." And I'm thinking, can I even walk in there with that book? It's
You can. Well,
yeah.
sure, you
Mhm.
can. It depends on the local bookstore, right? It
Right.
depends on, are they a big bookstore? Are they a little bookstore? Are they a mom and pop? Are they someone who welcomes indie authors? And I've had book launch parties in all different places, up to and including a private multi-million-dollar home.
Nice.
So I've had a book signing, but not in a bookstore for that particular book launch.
Nice.
No hard and fast rules. Just celebrate that your book's coming out.
Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, because I was thinking about like, to me, if I separate the two, it's like I'm going organic and non-organic sources for marketing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm obviously going to put it on my website, on my social media, on all my things, right? But then when I
Yep.
start marketing on other people's property, it seems a little
Yeah,
bit less, like you have less control, obviously, right?
correct.
So I would not want to make a decision in publication or distribution without considering the impact that it has on marketing the book. Because
Right.
I've had someone really smart tell me to worry about that stuff one time. Be intentional with your book.
Yeah. Well, just think about it for a minute. And it's like,
Mhm.
before you say, well, I'm going to just put it everywhere and it's going to be everywhere. And it's like, then you have to monitor everywhere. Then you have to be on top of it
Oh,
everywhere. So it's back to, how much time do you have? How much money do you have?
hmm.
And also, where do you anticipate selling your books? I have a couple of books that are abysmal when it comes to retail sales. They're on Amazon. I don't sell very many books, but I sell a lot of them privately through
Hmm.
bulk printing through a private printer. Those sales are never counted. I count them. They're on my chart, right? They're
Sure.
on my tally. But from a someone peeking in and going, well, that book doesn't do very well. It's like, unless they talk to me, they don't know that I've sold 50,000 copies or 325,000 copies of a book privately in bulk to different
Wow.
places.
Wow.
And so you have to really think about, like, do I want to be everywhere, or do I want to have an exclusive book? In some instances, I've worked with people who only publish in their zip code and they give the book away. Like, they don't publish online. Like, they only used, I didn't mean to say publish. They publish their book and they use the digital copy in their email signature to build their email list, and they use the physical copy to generate business, and you can't buy it anywhere for retail. Never
Wow.
published it publicly. They just have it available through them and their business and their strategic business partners.
Wow.
And they make a fortune. They're like, I give away 500 books a year and I make $2 million a year because I generate new business. So it all comes down to, how are you going to get from point A to point B using the book? And
Wow.
it doesn't always have to be, I'm putting my book up for sale on Amazon. And it doesn't have to be, I'm putting it up for sale on Amazon in all formats. It could just be ebook, although you don't want to do that necessarily, but you want to have a physical copy of your book because that's really cool.
Mhm.
But I have one guy, I did a book with him, and he's made so much money, and he's in one zip code. He uses his book in one zip code because he sells the service in one zip code, and he sells a lot of it using his book as a lead gen only. Can't buy his books, not for sale. Doesn't even have a price on it.
Wow. What a different, what a twist, right? Because he markets his book in
Right.
an entirely different way, but his end
Right.
goal for the book, his business, drivers for
Right.
that book are way different. That's really
He's
fascinating.
not even marketing his book, because marketing your book means you want to make money from it. Right.
Mhm.
He's marketing with his book, totally different conversation. So when he came to me, he was like, can you help me do this? I want a really well published book. You're going to sign an NDA. You're never going to talk about it publicly. You're never going to tell anyone who I am. They're going to think I just magically did this myself. I'm like, Roger that, buddy. No problem. Let's do it.
That's great.
Yeah. So he has a book, an ebook form, and he has a paperback and a special edition hardcover. And he, like, depending on who's passing it out, is it his sales team or is it him in his little geographically limited area? And it's like, he gives money and then he can hear the cash register ring,
Wow.
right? He gives a book and then the cash register rings. It's like he's the trained SEAL. Like, Lucas, please read this book about why I'm the expert and my competitors don't know anything about what we're talking about. And may I please have your American Express card on file? Thank you so much.
It's so good.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not a traditional way of thinking. His book
Right.
marketing action plan had nothing to do with which places he was going to put the book for sale, because he wasn't. Where
Mhm.
was he going to distribute his book? Only two places.
Hmm.
What is the cost of the book? Doesn't matter.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us today. And there's so many more questions I'll have to ask you in subsequent videos because,
sure.
but I really wanted to dig into this one a bit because I was, I think like other people worry about where the distribution and the tie to your marketing plan and what it can do for your business, depending on, whether you're geographically restricted or not, or all those things is
Right.
really powerful. See, this is why you got to ask questions of experts, people. Where else would I have found? Where else would I find that information? It's amazing.
Well, I hope that I am helpful and I help people to think in an inspired way and to sell more books and make more money because that's, I think, one of my reasons for being here. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Well, you guys, make sure you keep track with us, right? By subscribing to the channel. Make sure you like the video. You check out all the other videos we've produced. Particularly this last month, we're like rolling out some really
I think we're
some
doing okay.
some pretty awesome content. So,
We're having a
um,
good time. We hope you're having a good time watching and learning. And if there's a video you want us to do, if there's a topic
mhm.
you want us to talk about around courses, around speaking, training, masterminds, books, publishing, crafting, writing, marketing, launching, all the questions, we welcome all of your questions. We want to give you the content. English is my first language. We need an outtake reel now. We want to give you the content that you want to hear, that you will benefit from, and we're happy to answer any questions. So thanks for watching. If you're here and you're watching
Mhm.
all the way to the end, we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's what we're showing up for and recording these videos for, is to help you. So thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, we nerd out. We like celebrate every comment because like we get an email notification and I'm like, oh, look, we got a comment. And it's like we know people that are commenting and we don't know people that are commenting. It's like super cool to jump in there and be able to interact with these. So
Yeah.
it is up. All right. Well, thank you, Miss Honorée.
Yes,
Appreciate your
sir.
insight
My
today.
pleasure.
And we'll see you guys in the next video.